Hey y'all, Lugo here. We got our Path of Exile version 0.3 reveal on August 20th. I made a quick little summary for you guys on some key points. If I did miss anything that's very important, please feel free to put it in the comments below. I do make build guides for Path of Exile 2 and other games, so subscribe, keep up with the channel, and let's get to it. So the release date is actually next Friday, August 29th. So we are getting it around, I believe it's 1 p.m. Pacific time. And then if you're on the East Coast like I am, it's going to be 4 p.m. Eastern time. So mind you, this is going to be a big update. There's going to be a lot of players coming in. The servers are going to be popping. So there might be a wait queue or like a login queue that everyone might have to wait and get into before you can actually play the game. So be wary of that. So try your best to get in. If you really want to play, try your best to get in on the dot of when it is coming out. Update your games as soon as possible. And yeah, August 29th, log in, y'all. So we are getting a new act, Act 4. There is no Act 5 or 6, but they are adding interlude acts, which happen after Act 4 to guide you through the game to get you to end game around level 65. So what this means is there is no more cruel mode or cruel difficulty. Thank goodness, because that was one of my biggest pet peeve as a build creator. I did not like having to play Acts 1, 2, and 3 and then again play acts 1, 2, and 3 in cruel difficulty. It was such a sluggish way of playing the campaign, in my opinion. But with this new edition, you only have to play 1, 2, and 3 once. You go to Act 4, finish Act 4, and then you do these interlude acts until you get to end game, which is the Atlas map. Great addition, big W. I cannot wait to see how well Act 4 and the interlude acts are. I heard that the interlude acts are their own side thing and they aren't going to be permanent. They are just here to guide the player into endgame until Acts 5 and 6 are finished. So once Act 5 and 6 are finished, these interlude acts are going to go away, but they are going to be keeping the bosses and I believe the monsters as well for the endgame Atlas. So big W, I can't wait to see it. Can't wait to fight these new bosses. And I heard it's actually a lot of zones as well that they're adding. I believe this is the biggest change of the patch coming up. So the support gem changes. Number one change is the support gem limit is removed. What that means is you can have multiple support gems in your build now on different skills. For example, let's say you are using Spark, you can put on a support gem that increases cast speed. You can use that same support gem on a different spell now, let's say Fireball. So now you have Spark and Fireball and have the same support gem on both of them. Before it used to be you have to make sure you choose the one that you want to use the most. Let's say you want to use Spark the most, you'd have to put the spell casting speed on that and then something else on Fireball because you cannot put spell casting speed support on Fireball. What this does now, you can have them on both, which is a huge, huge, huge upgrade to build potential overall. You can mix and match, you can do a bunch of stuff, use a bunch of skills all at once, having strong, very strong support gems on both skills or multiple skills, whatever you want to do, and have multiple skills in your build to be actually viable than just having one or two that you use mostly. Now you can actually do what they want you to do in Path of Exile 2 and use multiple skills and synergies and combos and everything that they always wanted Path of Exile 2 to have. Great addition, and they are also actually they're adding tiered support gems as well. I saw that now when you're leveling up, lower level support gems are going to be tier 1, and then later on you're going to get tier 2, which is a bit of a better upgrade. But some support gems even have tier 3, which are actually a bit different overall. What The example they came up with is, let's say the first tier of like spellcasting speed is 10%, and then the second tier is increased by 15%. The third example might be it's increased by 10%, but let's say if you cast 5 spells in a quick succession, you do extra damage or something like that. That's how it's going to work for the tiers. I don't mind that. That's pretty cool. I mean, some builds are going to use maybe tier twos only, or some mix and match tiers 2 and 3, etc. So we shall see that. And then they are adding the lineage support gems as well. They are some brand new support gems that are actually considered as like a unique, powerful gem that you can get in the end game with certain bosses and certain loot drops. They totally change the way the skill works, and that's absolutely amazing because some of them are actually very powerful, especially they showed an eclipse where it changes your ballista turrets to have an additional charge or anything like that. That is a drastic change in power, and we shall see how powerful they actually are once the game releases next Friday. So yeah, big change, support gems. I really like it because I did not like the fact that I had to make sure to choose the right support gem for the right skill instead of having 2 support gems in my build in different skills. So big W on that. So the next thing we're gonna talk about is for all my players out there who wanted sprinting. So we are getting the ability to sprint in the game, meaning you're just going to be faster walking around the maps. Let's say if you cleared out some section of the map and you wish to backtrack or something, you can actually sprint now. The thing about sprinting though is I saw that if you are sprinting and you get hit by a monster, they knock you down and then it's pretty much GG for you. Not triple G, but 2 Gs right there. And yeah, so sprinting is cool, whatever, especially for some slower characters in the beginning of the game when you're going through like the long zones or whatever, trying to clear out every part of the map, which I highly recommend if it's the first time you're playing the campaign to fully explore the whole like zone in each map. You might find something very useful for your character leveling up. But yeah, sprinting's in the game. I wonder how that's gonna work with certain like mechanics. Like for example, blink. I'm not sure if blink is gonna like have you sprint, blink, and then continue sprinting. They did talk about that in the interview, but they weren't very clear on if that's actually gonna work or not. And yeah, sprinting is in the game. And for anyone who has friends that want to play or try out Path of Exile 2, it will have a free weekend on the release date on August 29th of next week. It's going to be a free weekend up to September 1st for all non-early access players. So if you have a friend who wants to try it out or just, know somebody who likes, you know, I guess you could say Diablo type games, ARPG games, let's call them ARPG games. You can share this to your friends if they're skeptical about buying a early access game. They're probably waiting for it to come out full release. Let them try it out. It's going to be a free weekend, and I highly recommend everyone to try it out. To be honest, because even though it's 0.3 early access, this game is still very, very good for what it is. And the fact that it's only 0.3 means it's just going to get better. And it has been getting better. Like, it has improved so much in such a short amount of time, which is absolutely insane. And if you are a Path of Exile fan, you gotta admit that this game is already amazing for being in 0.3. And actually, we're not even in 0.3 yet. So come on now. But yeah, share with your friends, share with everyone who wants to try out a new game for that weekend. It's going to be free. Why not try it? Hop on the bandwagon of Path of Exile because it's a really good game already. So yeah. We got some changes to our defense really. For evasion and dexterity builds, we got something called deflection. It's a new mechanic tied to evasion dexterity. and it can block 40% of damage based on the chances influenced by the attacker's accuracy. So, what that means is if an attack hits you and you're stacking evasion and you have deflection as well on, if the attack hits you and the deflection procs, 40% of the damage that was hit will be deflected. So you won't take 100% of the damage. That's pretty cool. I wonder how good that's going to be for evasion. And I wonder if you can increase that 40%. We shall see. And another thing for armor users, people always used to say armor was the worst out of the three. I do agree, armor was, I think, the worst. It still is, I think, the worst out of the three. But they're adding a new modifier where the percentage of armor applies to elemental damage can be available on the gear you get. So now the big issue with armor was it would just mitigate physical damage, but now you can get mods on your armor to also mitigate elemental damage. Big buff to armor. We shall see how big of a buff it actually is when it comes to like the game and when you're fighting a bunch of mobs or getting hit by a strong attack which has elemental damage in it. So, we shall see. And then we have a new league mechanic. So, last patch 0.2, it came out with Dawn of the Hunt, and it came out with a few mechanics really, but it wasn't anything major like we are getting this patch. Rise of the Abyssal. Anyone who has played Path of Exile 1 uh, is familiar with the Abyss mechanics, and they kind of work the same here as well. Pretty much is you're going to have a bunch of new type of enemies randomly spawn in your maps, and they're gonna spawn tracks throughout the grounds that you can follow and kill all the enemies that spawn out. After a while, if you kill all the enemies, a huge like chest pops out from the ground, or it opens a gateway to the underground version of the abyss. You go down there, kill some enemies, get a bunch of loot, and maybe even fight a boss. So what this does is it includes like brand new items, new bosses. I believe they added 4 new like major bosses with the league mechanics on top of all the other bosses that they're adding as well overall. So it's going to be nice, and also they're adding a new crafting mechanic alongside of the Abyssal. Once you collect certain gear pieces, not gear pieces, but items from the Abyss drops, you can use them to put extra mods on your gear. And then they teased in where you can actually jump in the pit of like souls that they have in the Abyss section of the map. And they didn't show what you actually get from it, but my theory is you probably get a certain buff for a certain amount of like game time that maybe increase your attribute points or something like that, which would be pretty cool, like a cool mechanic. Like you get that buff for, let's say, an hour or something, or let's say, I don't know. Let's just say an hour. You get that buff for an hour, so that hour you could do some crazy stuff, get some crazy loot, fight some crazy bosses that you couldn't before, just because you have that buff. That would be pretty cool. But yeah, Abyss, I'm excited for it. I always liked Abyss and Path of Exile 1, and it just adds way more monsters in it, so it's just going to add overall way more loot as well. More monsters, more loot. That's how the game works. Endgame changes. We are getting 25 new endgame maps. Sweet. New changes to like pinnacle bosses and the Uber Arbiter of Ash. So now you are gonna get early access to the passive tree nodes for the bosses. I think the first time you do any mechanic, let's say breach, the first time you do it at endgame, you will get a book that gives you like 2 points for the tree, so you can spend that right away. And then the splinters are they're split up into tiers now, so you don't have to collect the full amount of splinters to go and fight the boss to get your skill points. You can just get a third of that to fight the first tier, and then get a couple more to fight the second tier, and then fight the third tier. Or I believe you could just skip through and fight the last tier if you wish, if you think you're strong enough right away, and then get all your points that way. I'm pretty sure you could do that. And then we have some crafting changes here. Similar to the support gem changes when it comes to the tiers, they also made the currency tiers as well. They increased, let's say, orb of transmutation or exalted orbs and everything. They added a regular tier, a greater tier, and a perfect tier. Now, my first initial thought on that is what in the world is going to happen with the economy because of that? Because I believe last time I checked in Path of Exile 2, one divine orb was like, I'm not even joking. I saw like it was like for like 900 exalts. So will the greater and the perfect exalt replace that or make it more valuable? Or are they trying to make where you should just use exalts for crafting and have like the perfect exalts for trading or something like that? Who knows? But yes, and then they're adding new omens as well, some essence tiers, lesser, regular, and greater, and then perfect as well. They showed that. So essences now work mostly kind of like a regal orb where you can make a magic item into gold with a specific targeted mod that you want. Yeah, it's gonna be weird when I'm really like curious to see how the currency like economy is gonna be with all this like new tiers and everything. And speaking of economy, we are actually getting a new trade system. This is what a lot of players, even I, wanted. We're getting a trade system where you can actually sell things and buy things while you or others are offline. Great. I am absolutely tired of sending a message to someone trying to buy a certain piece of gear and they're either AFK or they're not replying or they just are trying to scam you really with some bizarre amount of like increase in price or whatever. Now you're gonna have someone in your hideout. If you don't have a hideout yet, make sure you do the quest to unlock a hideout. You're gonna get a person. I believe she comes in Act 4 if it's your first character, your first playthrough of the season. She comes in Act 4. You put her in her hideout. I think her name's Angie. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's Angie. But you put her in your hideout. If you have a premium stash tab, which is one of the stash tabs you have to buy in the shop, you can put your stuff in there that you wish to sell. You put the price up and make sure you are 100% sure you want that price to be on that item because I think there is a delay where you can change it. If someone clicks on it and wants to buy, you cannot change it. You cannot change the price of it. You just got to stick with that selling price. And then once you put the price up and everything, people can travel to your hideout through the trade market, which is on the website. Travel to your hideout, talk to the merchant. I think her name is Angie. I'm pretty sure it's Angie. But yeah, try talk to the merchant and then just buy the item. And simple as that. They don't need to wait until you're off or like online, and you don't have to wait for anyone else to be online anymore to do your shopping. That's amazing. And the cool thing is, now we have a reason, an actual reason to make our hideouts look badass because we're gonna have people coming into our hideouts to shop. So I've already like thought about it. I'm like, wow, I'm gonna be spending a lot more time in my hideout making it look nice because it's not just me who's gonna be in there. It's gonna be other players who are willing to buy certain things. Well, now I have to spend more money on some hideout microtransactions. I see what you did there, GGG. I see. But yeah, that's pretty cool. And then some additional notes here, just so everyone can, what I thought was important. Weapon swap delay is totally removed. Great. Because it was kind of awkward sometimes, switching between weapons and skills. Like certain skills I had were on my back bar or backhand weapon, whatever. You'd have to switch. It's like a slight delay to cast it, and then you have to switch back to cast your other spells. There's no more delay. Thank goodness, because it's probably just gonna make everything much more smoother. 150 plus new passives added in the skill tree. Oh boy. Oh boy. Now, that's cool with me. Nah, not really cool with me. I mean, I just pretty much learned the passive tree as well. Now I'm gonna have to relearn it again. And for the people who are joining in on the free weekend, they're probably gonna open up the skill tree and be like, what the heck is this thing, man? So, you know, hopefully, hopefully the new passives they added are really, really good. 35 new areas and 24 new bosses. Wow. That is a lot of content right there. 35 new areas and 24 new bosses. Wow. So major skill, class reworks, and buffs. I'm not going to fully go over those right now. I just know that they are changing up a lot of the ascendancies. They even mentioned in the interview that they've changed something in every single class, every single ascendancy. No ascendancy was not touched. So especially, I'm sure the Gemling Legionnaire must have been reworked because of the new support gem mechanics that they have going on now. If someone's not familiar, the Gemling Ascendancy was focused on having multiple support gems in your build, but now since everyone has multiple support gems and are able to use them, I mean the Gemling is a bit, not viable anymore at all. Like why would you pick that if everyone can use it? So I'm sure they changed up a bunch of stuff for the Gemling, especially with the new support gem mechanics. But yeah, and then, of course, new supporter packs are available. So if you wish to buy those, if you are big into cosmetics, since the new trade system requires for people to join hideouts and go into other people's hideouts. I mean, these supporter packs might come with new hideouts, new hideout cosmetics, which are going to be super sweet to see. What crazy hideouts I'm going to be seeing when I'm shopping around for some crazy gear. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe and like the video. Catch me live on YouTube, Twitch, or Kick if you wish, whichever one you prefer. LugoHQ is the name on all three platforms. You can also find me on TikTok and X. X is a brand new account, so shoot me a follow on there. I will be posting updates on there as well for the league coming up ahead. I do also make build guides, like I mentioned before, for Path of Exile 2. So you can catch those on YouTube. Just make sure to subscribe and make sure to like the video because I'm pretty sure your RNG for great loot increases if you do like the video. All right, y'all. Take care and see you next time. Enjoy August 29th, Path of Exile 2 0.3. Take care.